Hi and welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, my name's Andrew and thanks for joining me. So today I'm going to be looking at the motion combo for the DJI Neo 2, which comes with the Motion 3 controller and the N3 goggles. So my plan is to go through all the functions of each of these devices and then go out with a test flight to show you exactly how they work on the DJI Neo 2. And before I start, I would like to say, if you could do the like and subscribe thing, that would be really great. Nice early Christmas present for me. Try and get me up to the 4,000 subscribers. That would be absolutely fantastic. Now in the motion combo, you're going to get everything you need to get an immersive FPV experience. You're going to have the goggles N3, you're going to have the motion controller 3, along with all the batteries, all the accessories you need to get up and running, starting off doing FPV flying. Now, I will be honest with you, I've never really flown FPV. It's never been my thing, really. So all this is going to be a bit of a learning curve for me as well. And my first time experience is going out with a drone and flying FPV. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through all the functions on the Motion 3 controller. Then I'm going to go through all the menus and the functions on the goggles N3. And then finally, I'm going to go out and put the drone through its paces and see exactly what it's like. Okay, so the first thing we need to do with the controller, I would suggest, is put the lanyard strap on, because I've learned through other experiences, like using the Nintendo Wii, that you can throw these away when you don't intend to. So good safety thing, put it on first. Next, we're going to move on to switching it on. And like all DJI products, it's just the two press on the button on the side. You're going to get the beep and it's going to kick in. So on the top, you've got your power lights. So if they flash in green, it's waiting for a connection through to your drone and the goggles. If they're solid green, it's just going to show you that it is connected and the power level that you got. So you can see from this one at the moment that I've got full power, but it's waiting to connect. And again, to switch it off, it's just the dual press. Now, when everything's connected, the first thing you need to do is to get the drone started. So you need to press the orange button on the Motion 3 controller twice, and that's going to get the motors running. And then to stop the motors, you press the orange button again twice. Now, when you've got the motors running on the drone, you've got two ways you can launch it. You can either press and hold the orange button, or you can use the joystick and push up, and that's going to make the drone rise up to the 3-foot takeoff position. And like takeoff, when you want to land the drone, you can either press and hold the orange button, and that means the drone's going to land exactly where it is, or you can just pull down on the joystick, and again, that's going to lower the drone down and then eventually make it land. Now, when the drone's in the air, you can position it using the joystick, and that's going to allow you to move the drone either up or down, or to the left and the right. Now, below the joystick, you've also got the mode or return to home button. Pressing it once is just going to change the mode from normal to sport or vice versa. But remember that if you do go into sport mode, you're going to lose the obstacle avoidance facility. Pressing and holding the button is going to initiate the return to home, in which case the drone's going to come back to you as you've preset in the settings via the goggles. So it could do the optimal or the preset to come back to you as well. And also remember that when the battery is low, the drone's automatically going to come back to you. And if you want to stop that, then you just need to press that mode button again, and that's going to cancel the return to home. But I wouldn't recommend doing that, because obviously the drone's going to just run out of power, whatever it is, and land. You're not going to get it back to you. Now on the side of the controller, you've got your scroll wheel, and that's going to allow you to change the options you got when you use the easy acro modes. And that's going to give you the option to either slide, flip, or do a 180 on the drone. Also with the scroll wheel, you've got the ability for it to be pressed in. So if you're using the goggles 3, you can change between a live view and the camera view. If you're using the goggles N3 like I am today, then it's not going to have any effect at all. And then on the right of the controller, you've got the button with a red dot, and that's just going to initiate the recording of the drone, or for you to take a photo depending on which mode you got set up. Now, the most important part of the controller is going to be the trigger itself on the front. Now, until you press this, it's not going to have any effect on the drone at all. So you can move the controller left, right, up, down, any which way you want to, and the drone's going to stay exactly where it is. Now, if you press the trigger in slightly until you feel some resistance and hold it there, that's going to allow you to rotate the drone to the left and the right. But it's not going to give you any forward motion, even if you tilt the controller forward. It's purely for rotating the drone, as I say, either to the left or to the right. Now, to make the drone move forward, you just need to press and hold that trigger in. And like any throttle, the more you press it in, the faster the drone's going to go. But remember, if you're holding the controller straight and you press the throttle, then the drone is just going to go forward. You're not going to get any lateral movement or rising up and down. So to do that, you need to tilt the controller either to the left or the right, or move it backwards and forwards, and that's going to move the drone to the left or the right. If you move it towards you, it's going to raise the drone. If you push it forward and down, it's going to lower the drone. Now, when you are using these movements, you don't need to move your whole hand. It's purely wrist action, so you are tilting it left, right, backwards and forward. You're not moving your whole arm from left to right, because that's not going to make any difference. It's purely going to be the motion of the controller going left and right, backwards and forward, which is going to control the way that the drone's going to go. The forward motion is done by the trigger. The side to side, up and down, is done by the motion of the controller. And then to reverse the drone, you just need to push the trigger in the opposite direction, so it's away from you, and that's going to reverse the drone back. Also, if you need to stop the drone in an emergency, you can either take your hand off the trigger or just press the orange button, and that's going to stop the drone. Okay, so that's the basic operation of the controller, and now I'm just going to move on to the goggles themselves. And this is the point where I stop for 2 seconds and say, if you are finding it useful, if you could do the like, subscribe and the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. Try and get me up to the 4,000 subscribers. There's also a link there for buy me a coffee, and any funds I get from that is going to go towards new equipment for me to use to try and grow the channel. And I'd like to thank the 2 subscribers this week who did use that. Unfortunately, there was no name, it just came up as somebody. But I know that one is CDL Ford and the other one is MeVank2. So again, to those 2, thank you very much. That is greatly appreciated. So moving on to the goggles N3. So like all the other DJI startups, to get the goggles powered on, you just need to press and then press again the power button on the right hand side. And similarly, to switch off, you press again, and that's going to power down the goggles. Then on the top front of the goggles, you got 2 ports. You got your USB-C charging port, and that's also going to allow you to connect a mobile phone directly through to the goggles so somebody else can see what you're viewing. And then by the side of that, you've got your micro SD card, and that's going to allow you to record the vision from the goggles directly onto a micro SD card, so you can view that again in post if you want to. Then behind them, you got your antennae, so just make sure they're up so you get a good connection between the drone itself and the goggles. Then on the back of the head strap, you've got your battery, and you've also got an adapter there where you can tighten and loosen the strap for a more comfortable fit. Now, if you are a glasses wearer like me, then the goggles N3 allow you to wear the glasses directly inside the goggles. And then on the top right hand side of the goggles, you've got 2 further buttons. You've got your 5D joystick, which is going to allow you to navigate through the menus. And then you've got your back button, which, as the name suggests, is just going to take you back to the previous option within those menus. Now, once you're inside the goggles, you can use the controller to move a cursor about, as you can see there. And that means then you can point to whichever menu or function you want to change. So for example, I can go up the top, press the trigger, and then that's going to bring in one menu. But you can do exactly the same thing, just using the 5D button on the top. So if you press the button towards you, you're going to bring up the menu from the top. You can press back, and that's going to remove it. Same way, if you then press the button away from you, it's going to bring up the menu at the bottom, which is going to be your settings for your camera. And again, you can press back or just push the button the other way, and that's going to remove it. And if you move the button towards the right, that's going to bring you some more settings up for the drone and the controller. Now, if you need the cursor, you just need to move the cursor over the function you want, press the trigger, that's going to bring down the menu, take it off the menu, press the trigger again, and that's going to take you back. But if you want to select any of the options, then obviously you just move the cursor over to the one you want, press the trigger, and then that's going to bring up that particular option for you to adjust. So on the bottom, you've got your mode, whether it's in normal or sport. You've got your height and distance along with the speed. Then you've also got the battery power of the drone, how much flight time is left, whether or not your obstacle avoidance detection is on or off, the number of satellites that it's connected to, and the power level of the goggles themselves. And then you've also got the amount of time that you've been recording and how much space you've got left as well for recording on the drone. So by selecting the menu from the top, you can see you've got the option to screen record. You've got your head tracking, so that means the drone's going to follow your head left and right, up and down as it's flying. You've got your easy acro if you want the drone to do any sort of acrobatics. You've got your goggle defog, and that's going to switch on the fans within the headset themselves to demist your goggles. And then finally, you've got your brightness levels, so you can adjust that accordingly. And then you just press the trigger to come out. So on the bottom, we can go into our camera settings. You can see it's on auto. And if you're in auto, the only thing you can adjust is going to be your exposure valuation. But if you go into manual mode, you can see then we can change the ISO, the shutter speed, the exposure valuation, or your white balance. Now, if you want to change the settings for the camera, it's exactly the same, but you can't do it when you're doing a screen record, so you need to come out to that first. And then you've also got the option to change the aspect ratio from 16:9 to 4:3. That's only when you're using the photography option, not when you're using video. And then finally, we've got our settings. So we've got the 4 settings of status, album, transmission, and settings. So if we look at status first, that's going to give us the option to choose exactly which drone we're going to be using. So obviously this is going to be the Neo 2. Then we've got album, but obviously I can't go into the album at the moment because I'm doing a screen record. But that's going to show you exactly what you've recorded onto the SD card in the goggles themselves. And it's also going to give you the ability to either view it or delete it directly from the goggles. Transmissions, I don't bother with, I just leave those settings exactly as they are. And then you finally got the main settings. So you've got safety, and in here you can select your maximal flight altitude, the max distance, your return to home settings, the advanced return to home, whether or not you want optimal or preset. You can also update your home point if you are moving about, but again, I tend to leave that exactly where it is. You got your obstacle avoidance of brake or off, so just leave that on brake, your radar map, and then if you want to calibrate any of the compass. Then below that, you've got your control. So you've got your motion controller, and that's just going to go through the buttons with you and whether or not you want to change any of the settings. For example, you may want to adjust the maximum flight speed or the vertical speed, etc. Change those just by pressing on them like that. And you can do that for both modes, whether or not it's normal or sport. And then if you do change all those about, if you want to reset them, you just come back and put them back to normal. And then you've got your calibration if you need to adjust the settings again of the drone with the compass, the IMU, or the acceleration and joystick calibration. Now, what I have found, if you can't find a way to get the menu back to where it was previously, then you will need to use the back button on the top of the goggles themselves. Then you've got your gimbal follow mode, whether or not you want it to be in FPV or just normal follow mode, the gimbal pitch speed, the calibration. Then you've got your units being metric, kilometers, imperial, beginner mode, your goggles tutorial, or your flight tutorial. Now, if you are starting off, I would suggest you just use the beginner mode, because that's going to mean that the drone's going to move very, very slowly, and it's going to give you a lot more control when you get in used to flying the drone in FPV. And that's the mode I'm going to be using when I go out shortly now to do the flight. So that's the basics done with the actual controller and the goggles. So I'm going to go now and take the drone out for a flight and see exactly how it operates and how I get on with it. So the first thing we're going to do is switch it on. So that's one. And you can see we've got the lights there. So the drone is on as well. I'm just going to switch on the goggles. So again, that's just going to be one. The goggles switched on as well. So the next thing now is to press the orange button twice, and that's going to start the motors. And as I said, if you press it twice, it's going to stop it again. So start it up. And now if we press and hold, drone's going to take off. And then we can either press and hold again to bring it down, or we can start the motors up. We can push up on the joystick, or we can pull down on the joystick. So that's going to mean the drone can take off and land. Okay, so as I said earlier, if you push up on the stick, the drone's going to go up. If you push down on the stick, the drone's going to come down. If you push left and right, the drone's going to move left and right. So as I said, if I just move the stick any which way, nothing's going to happen to the drone at all. It's only when I actually press the trigger it's going to have an effect. So if I press the trigger a little bit in and then I tilt it to the left, the drone's going to rotate. And if I tilt it the other way, let me show you that. So if I tilt it that way, but if I just do nothing. But to move the drone now, I'm going to have to push in a little bit further, and then you can see the drone is moving forward. The cross in the middle is where the drone's heading, and the circle is where you want it to go. And if I push the trigger out, the drone's just going to come backwards. Okay, so let's take it for a fly. So I've got the key pressed now, and I'm in beginner mode. And you can see I'm just rotating my hand. So the speed you see is quite slow. It's only going along at 0.7 of a meter. That's with the throttle now fully depressed. I'm just going to take it around this tree. So I'll come round over to that side. Then start. Bring it around a bit more. And then I'm going to bring it between the two trees. So I line up the circle and the cross again. And take it up towards me. And you can still see I'm only doing 1 meter a second. So I'm going to stop there. And as you can see now, I got the return to home is going to kick in. So that was my first flight using the beginner mode on the DJI Neo 2 and the goggles and controller. It is a bit boring, to be honest, doing it in beginner mode, because you don't get any sense of speed or anything. It's purely just for you to try and get to grips with the way that the controller works and what you need to do with your hands to get the drone to go in the way that you want to go. So there's a helicopter going over now. So I'll go back into normal mode and then I'll give it a go with that, and just to see how I get on with a similar sort of route. Right. And again, right, that's just locked it in. So I'll start moving. Oh, you can immediately see the difference in the speed. You can see I'm doing 1.6. If I pull the throttle right the way in, you see a massive speed difference. But I'm going to keep it nice and gentle. See if we're going around the tree. A bit close. Come in by that tree. Take it quite fast over the top of my head. And then I'll slow it down. Take it between these ones. Bring it around. So oops, try and take it over there. So bring it down. So take it around. Didn't see those branches. Right, so get through there. There we are. Let's take it up out of the way. Let's take it around here. It does react a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. And that's full throttle. I'm going to go, and I'm just going to take it back around here again. Lots of warning signs. I got to be honest, it's a lot more fun if you're doing it in the normal mode as opposed to beginner mode. But I can understand why. Let's go by that. I can understand why you're going to need it. Go through there. Oh. Let's take it a bit back up again. Slow it down. So the obstacle avoidance is going to kick in when it's braking. Let's just try and see what happens. I go towards the stone. Yes, you can see that it go backwards. Let's go forwards again. Yeah, so it's definitely a lot more fun if you're going to go in one of the modes other than beginner. Ooh, right, detected the tree again. Watch the person with the dog. And then I'm just going to bring it back to me. Right, and let's bring it into land. Right, so I'm going to go back into the menu and then switch on easy acro, head tracking. So it should be now. Go to that. As you can see, the drone's going to go. Let's have it go now and see how it goes. Oh, no, that's a lot more. Right, trying to line up those two together with the head tracker is quite difficult. Right, let's have a look here. Right, that's lined up. Just going to move forward and I'm going to look down. Right, so it seems to be that. I should turn that round. So with the head tracking, the drone's still going to go straight. And I bring that. So it looks like it's going to be with the head tracking. There's the drone's still going to go straight, but it's just going to move. So if I look over to the side, right. Oh, I got to be honest, I don't like this at all. Bring it back. I don't think I'm doing this head tracking right, so I'm going to just bring the drone back to me. So that's the head tracking. It didn't really react in the way I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be more of the fact, wherever I look, that's the direction the drone's going to head. But it seems to be that the drone is going to look where I'm looking, but still carry on the original linear trajectory that it was on. So I need to do a bit more research into it, but as for head tracking at this moment, not really my thing. Okay, so we switch the head tracking off. Now we're going to easy acro. And you can see I've got three options on the side, being slide, 180 drift and flip. So let's do the flip first of all. Okay, so if I now push forward on the stick, see the drone did that. Push back. So obviously you could do that when the drone's in flight. Let's go to the left and to the right. Okay, so let's try it in motion. We'll move it forward slightly, and then as it goes, do a flip, and do a flip left, or a flip right. Okay, so that's the flip. Okay, let's change over now to the 180 drift. Now, from what I understand with the 180 drift, as it goes forward, the drone's going to do a 180. So it's just going to turn around in effect. So let's go forward. And then I'm just going to press the joystick to the left. Yeah, and it just goes around. It's too low. So let's take it back up a bit. Press it to the left. So by the looks of it, you can only do the 180 drift when the drone is actually moving forward. So if I go forward again and do it that way, it's going to turn around. If I bring it towards me, let's do it over here, passes me. So that's the 180 drift. So by the looks of it, the slide doesn't really do anything apart from move it left or right. Okay, so that's the end of the FPV. In beginner mode, it's quite boring, if I'm honest with you, but you need to do that just to get to grips with the way that the drone operates. So it is a necessity to complete that part. When you go into normal mode, it's a lot different. It's a lot more fun doing it in normal mode. The easy acro are okay. Probably won't use them a great deal, only because when the drone's flying, if you do a flip, it's going to fly, do the flip, and then stutter, and that's not going to give you really nice smooth footage. So it's okay for playing about with, but you wouldn't really use it seriously. The 180, I think, is a nicer option because you've got that smoothness where it passes you and then you can just revolve around and it carries on going. That's nice. And then the final option, which was the slide, I think it is, totally pointless because it doesn't do anything apart from move left or right. So yeah, waste of time. So am I converted to FPV? No, not really. It's nice if you want to get some footage going through difficult terrain, like going through trees, because it's going to be a lot easier to maneuver than using the normal controller. But apart from that, I don't really see that much point in it. If you're flying high, you're not going to really get much of an impact because there's nothing to gauge the speed and the distance to. If you're going low, you're going to need something where you've got a lot of trees or obstacles that you can maneuver around. But again, for me, that's not really my thing. I'd rather go out with the drone and have it follow me when I'm doing other activities rather than have just flying the drone as the main activity. Anyway, I hope you found it useful. If you did, if you could do the like and subscribe thing, that would be really appreciated, and the notification bell. I just want to say thanks to everybody who supported me over the last couple of months while I've been growing the channel. I'm up to just over 3,000 subscribers now. I'd love to get up to the 5,000 mark. That would be absolutely fantastic. I wish you all a happy Christmas, wherever you are in the world. And finally, if you've got any questions in relation to the DJI Neo, the Neo 2, the DJI Mini 4 Pro, the Mini 5 Pro, or the Hover X1 Pro or Pro Max, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you've got any questions in relation to any of the action cams, like the DJI Action 6, also let me know in the comments below. Again, thanks for all your support, and I'll catch you in the new year. Thanks very much. Bye.